everybody and welcome back. Well, we had a good time to show and there's some video at the end of this one, but I have to warn you, some of it isn't quite as sharp as it should be. I mentioned in the video that the autofocus didn't seem to be working, but actually I just found out what it was. I've been using the camera to take stills because, as you know, I use one of the big Nikons, and I set the ISO number, which is sort of the what's the word I'm looking for, the sensitivity of the camera a little too high, so the low light meant the autofocus couldn't work. So I'm sorry about that, but the video's there at the end, so watch it or not, it's up to you. Alright, there's a lot of comments from the last video. I'm going to try and remember some of them. One was asking about when they would see the last bits of the Enfield in a little test ride, and another viewer answered and said you probably have to wait for the spring, which is true, but the only thing that needed finishing was the saddle, which, as you can see, is on. The guy made such a nice job of it. It's a little bit more expensive, that I think I might take the saddle off the Monster and get that redone, because although that's quite nice, this is so much nicer. Alright, what else? Had a few comments about footrests, which you'll see later on, which we have decided to go, hopefully, and about the tube bender. So I've got a call into JD Squared. I've been so busy recently I haven't had a chance to call them, just to ask them what they think's gone wrong. Now, for those of you who have watched all the videos, or most of them, you remember when I was doing the BSA 250 Trials bike, I was visited by our Siamese cat. Now, our Siamese cat is big. He's about 16 pounds and there's not an ounce of fat on him. He's just big. And only an idiot would pick an argument with him. Enough said. Right, so what else was I going to mention? Oh, mentioning the weather. We're finding out where the weather is all over the world, because I've got people, someone new from the Netherlands and all over the place. So welcome to everybody worldwide, and let's get on with the bike. Right now, I've done this side, put the piece in the top, welded it in and sort of smoothed it out mostly, and well, that still goes in there fine. So I'm going to show you how I did this, because on the other side, as Charlie Prescott mentioned a while ago, I've made one of my deliberate mistakes so that I can show you how to rectify it. But I want to show you something else. You remember we've done this on both sides? Here's one of those things where welding will make things move around. We're going to have to put in, I think, a cross piece here, because look, now that was nice and loose when we had the engine in, but it won't move now. But when I measured it, this should be, what is it, 7 15/16? Yep, and it's actually only 7 7/8. So I cut a little bit of wood to 7 15/16, just to show, as I say, that will not move at all. Pop that in there as if the engine and the two spacers were in. So when I've got the engine in and the spacers in and everything is right, we will put a piece of tube across the bottom, because I want to know, I think it'll be just behind here, but I've got to see the way the bottom of the engine goes. Right, so we'll leave that in there for now. Oh, and if you're wondering, yeah, that still moves. It's just these ends that have come in a little bit from all this welding at the back here. So, what was I saying about deliberate mistakes? Right, well, when I did the other side, let's turn this around and make sure you're still in view. No, you're not. Where have you gone? No, wrong way. There you are. And I'm even going to focus you, look at that. There you go. When I did this side, I made it really nice, just bigger than, and I suddenly thought, wait a minute, that's no good, I'm going to have a big spacer on here. So what I've done is I've welded a 1-inch washer on both sides. So when we make this, it's going to have to be a little more intricate to go around those. It doesn't matter that it doesn't exactly match the other side. I mean, some of you might think it does, I don't. But anyway, let's start and deal with this and put the top on here. Then we'll put the engine back in and do the last 2 bottom tubes. Now we're going to do this with our usual method with a piece of cardboard. And this week I'm going to try not to get my arm in the way. So what I've already done is cut a curve out here for the tube with a little piece of 1-inch tube, because that's going to have to go on there, right? And what we're getting for the moment is just how long a piece we need. It's going to go around there, onto that, and it's going to go to there. So that's our first thing to cut off. I know it's going to go there, so it's going to need a little curvy piece cutting out the bottom of that. Oops, dirt on. So as always with these, just, I know this isn't going to be enough or quite the right shape, but it gets us started. See, that's not bad, because we can just, as I say, this is only 16 gauge. We're probably going to be able to shape it a little with the hammer as we get it welded on, because what we're going to do is we're going to tack it. I'm going to form it so much to about there, and then we'll tack it, and then I'll tap it in and tack it and tack it and so on, and we'll use clamps as well. So just getting a little bit of a kink in it there and there. Yeah, actually I think that will do. I'll do that end a little more symmetrical, so let me just cut a little piece of light steel out for that. Right, so here's our piece cut. So the first thing we need to do is put a bend in here so that it follows that bottom line, and then we'll form it round an inch, 1-inch diameter former. So we're going to bend it about there. So let's go and try and do that. Now I don't want to keep running backwards and forwards with this, so what we're going to do is I'll bend this over and I'll go and check that it's alright, and then we'll form this over here. So let me get a little at a time. You don't want to be bending it too much and coming back and backwards and forwards, because you're stressing this piece here. So let me just go and check this. Right, now it doesn't quite sit in right, so what I'm going to do is open this out so it'll sit in further onto the tube. Ooh. So let me turn this around so I can work a little more easily. Hang on. I didn't think you needed to watch me winding the vise in and out. So I'm just going to use a half round file. Take that a little bit deeper. Right, now I'll go and try it again. Now then, this now fits in, so we've got to make the curve over that washer. I put it on and rolled it over. That's about the top of the washer, so we're needing to form it around that. So we'll start doing that. Now this is one of those things. Again, it's just a bit at a time, a bit at a time, a bit at a time. So I won't bore you with me battering on this. for the next few minutes. You can just see it's starting to form a curve, so I'm going to form it right over. I just want it a little bit past there, then when I can make sure this fits on, see that goes on there like that. When this fits over there, we're going to put some tacks on it and start to form it actually on the job. So let me work on this a bit more, then we'll go over to the bike. Now as you saw, I just worked and worked and worked on this, coming back and trying it and carrying on like that. So there we getting to have a pretty nice fit. So I'm going to put a clamp on to hold it down, and then as I say, we're going to tack it in a few places here so we can actually go, and then this part we will knock down and it'll actually curve over this when we're done. Now you'll also notice, you may have noticed that I've made this a bit bigger than that, and that's so I can use this extra metal as the filler. So rather than putting a filler rod in, we'll just form our seam on this and it'll make it a much nicer seam. So let me get a clamp to hold that down onto there, and then we can tap this in a little bit and then we'll tack it. And you can see it's on with a clamp. So where it's a really good fit, we'll tack it. So we're going to tack it all the way around there, and then I'll go and do the same on the other side. Then we can just use this to tap that in and get an even closer fit, and then I'll do that. Then we'll come round here, and when we've got it to all the way here, we'll put a clamp on back there. Can you see? Yep, put a clamp on back there to pull the centre down, and then we can just tap the edges over and weld that. So let me put some tacks on. And I've tacked it in 3 places on either side, so I can take this clamp off. And now you see we can just see that how that goes in. We can do that at both sides. And there we are. That noise was just the welding clamp coming off. So again, we'll weld this in and then I'll finish the bronze off around there. If you're wondering why it's backwards and forwards with those, this has got a little bit of filling to do, so I've bronzed it. Whereas this, I want to make a nice seam so I can linish it out, sand it out, whatever you want to call it, and it'll be much nicer. So let me do that around there and then we'll come back. So there it is, welded all around, a little bit of bronze put in where need be. So let me just take the sander to this. Funnily enough, now I can see the two of them. That sort of rounded shape looks much better than just the slope. But anyway, the important thing is it's on, it's good and strong, and once it's all sanded up and everything, it'll look really nice. So let me get onto it with the sanding disc. Alright, I got a bit carried away and kept on working, but there it is in. Needs a little bit more finishing off, but that's still alright. And that one's still alright. So I've actually put the wheels in and stood it up. So a bunch of you were worried the engine wouldn't go in. So let me take me a bit of wood out. Well, actually I'll take these out. Right, as I was saying, some of you were worried that I couldn't fit the engine. So what I'm going to do now is put it in, hopefully, so you can see. Hang on, let me switch you off while I reposition. Right, I've moved you around the other side. So let me see if I can get this thing picked up over here. Shouldn't have put it on the floor really, should I? I know you can't see me, but... God, this is going to be a bugger when the engine's built. Alright. Hopefully these straps aren't going to get in the way. But, oh, I'll tell you what, no. I remember how to do it. I'm going to switch it off because actually I lowered the table so that I'm not trying to lift the engine. Hold on a second. Right, I think that'll be low enough. Don't worry about the little click in the hydraulics pass slightly. Alright. And there it is, in. Pretty sure it'll go in with the outer covers on, but I can build the engine with the outer covers off, so there, you've seen it go in. Right, let me lift the table back up and put some engine plates on. Now the engine's in, complete. All the head mountings, all the rear mountings, underneath, and the front plate. So all we're going to do now is put a piece of tube in there. So I'll move you down so you get a better view, and this is going to be interesting because, as you know, I've only just bought the tube bender. So as I've never had a tube bender before, anything like this, I always had to think of some clever way to get around it. So now we're actually going to have to work out the angle and how much length we want at each end. So for those of you who like warts and all, we might get a lot of warts. Okay, let's take the front plates off and move the camera. Right, taking the front plate off so we can see things a little bit better. And I put a jack just here because now, although it should be alright, because we do have the possibility of this moving apart. So what are we going to do? Well, we could just put a right angle bend in and do it like that. But, you know, I don't know. Or we could use our clever doodad here. Let me find a nice straight edge to put that against. Okay. Switch this on, off. And we do it about like that. That's straight on there. That's the way that tube will come off. Am I sticking my head in the way there? So that's 64 degrees. Looks reasonable to me. That's just, oh, there's a bolt there, so let's come forward. .68, let's make it 68 degrees. So we're going to do a bend that's 68 degrees and then just flop it over. 68 degrees, let me write that down. So what we'll do, as I say, we'll make the bend like that, and then when it's pushed on there we can just flop it over. So what I'm going to do is make it long so that I can have it outside of there, and then we can mark this to see what angle that's going to be at. And then when we've got it right, we can cut a little bit off here and move it in so that it's there, and then it'll go on like that. So 68 degrees. Right, let me go and put a bit of tube in the bender. Right, well, it's Saturday morning and we're no further forward than we were on Tuesday, because Wednesday and Thursday I was with Linda. She was getting a colonoscopy up in Rochester, and then I must have caught a cold off somebody at that bike show, because Thursday and Friday you can still hear a little, I was coughing and hacking and feeling like death warmed up. So Saturday morning we're going to see if we can get all this done. It's cold, it's snowing, though an hour or so north of us they're getting 30 inches. So I'll do my best for you and we'll see what we can get finished this week. Right, now I bent the first piece to our 68 degrees that you may remember we measured, and it's flattened it a little bit. Do you know this stupid new phone I've got doesn't tell me when I've got voicemails, and not only that, but I have it in pocket and then I'll find out I've got a voicemail and it never rang. So anyway, JD Square did phone me back straight away, in fact, but I didn't know, so I haven't had a chance to talk to them. Now, you may remember I was going to put this on, put that like that, and then mark it. Well, I can actually almost do that like that, but I think the better way would be to cut it the right length back here and then slowly work it down to fit. We'll see. Anyway, let me clean the lubricant off that so I can mark it, and then I'll mark it both ends and we'll do some cuts. No, I think I've gone back to my original plan, because I put this in that way around where the bend was. So I'm going to cut off just enough at the bottom here to bring this over there, mark this, fit it in, and then we'll cut the last bit off here to bring it right into the end of there. So to move it up to there, we want to take off about an inch. So let me go and cut an inch off this end and then we'll offer it up again. Now I moved you around a little bit so you get more of an end-on view here. So that goes on there. So what we're going to do now is cut this at an angle. Now we've also not only got this angle, but it's angled backwards slightly, so we're going to do this a teeny bit at a time. So what I'm going to do is actually cut it off there first, so because it's a bit difficult with 3 feet of this sticking out the end here to hold it. So let me make a mark. I use one of these, you know, these white ink things, oil based, they're pretty poor. I don't know if any of you watch Engel's Coachworks. That fella is brilliant. How he drills those holes through straight and neat on both sides, I'll never know. But anyway, he uses these nice white ones, and I actually wrote and asked him what they were, and he did answer. So I've got to order some. So we need to cut that off. You'll excuse my head. We're going to cut that off like that to start with, at that angle, and then we're going to start marking it and filing it out a bit at a time to get our cope around that, because as I say, it's going to be at a couple of different angles. So let me go and cut that and then we'll come back. So there it is, cut more to the way it's going to go on. I think I am going to shorten the bottom rail to the right length to move this to where it should be here, and then just gradually do that, cut a little piece off, because I'll be honest with you, this is going to be tricky. I can see me ending up having to do this a couple of times. I mean, right now I just need a little bit cutting off there. Alright, that is, if we say from the centre of that to the centre of this tube, which is where I want to be, it's 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to cut another 3/4 of an inch off the bottom part, and then this should move over so that that is flopping down right in the middle. Should. Fingers crossed, everybody. Alright, well, stage 1 was successful. So now all I've got to do is work out, just slowly, I think. In fact, I think what I need to do is virtually on if I draw a vertical line here so I can keep an eye on it, gradually start easing out a cope on the other side, dropping it in and dropping it in and dropping it in. Then hopefully I haven't cut this too short and we don't end up with this below here. Alright, let me start working on it bit at a time. Well, we didn't keep our fingers crossed enough. Either I needed this to be longer, or I need this to be longer so I can drop it in even further. Oh, good idea, poor execution. Alright, let me give that some thought and see if I can solve the problem without having to do another bend, because I'm running out of 1 inch, which would mean I can order some, but that would be it for this week. Let me think about this. Well, I couldn't think of any way of doing that. There wasn't going to be a bodge job, and we're not having that. So I bent a new piece, and now I'm nearly out of 1 inch tube. I might just have enough to make the other side. So oh dear, oh dear. You know, people keep mentioning in comments that I seem to have a good 3D perception. It's really being taxed now. So anyway, let me start cutting little bits out of this and hope I can manage it. I'll bring you back when I've cut enough out so that it's dropped down. Now I'm taking this out literally a fraction at a time. See, I've taken so much out and I've just marked it to take a bit more off, because we're all the way on, still high enough, so I'll take a bit more out the bottom to let that drop down, because as that comes in further, it's allowing that to drop down and get below this. I may be a little long, which is good, so let me go and keep taking bits out. Well, oh, that noise is just the grinder running down. After, I don't know, it's taken me an hour, and I must have walked a mile backwards and forwards to the vise and the grinder. There we go. That is a good enough joint to bronze up. I've got a little bit of play on this end, but that's fine. Again, that's the beauty of bronze. It'll flow into that and everything will be wonderful. All I'm going to do now is make another one for the other side. Hold on a second. What I've got here is the original one. Let me open you out a bit. Same at the bottom. God, look, I wasn't far out, was I? Just, well, yeah, 1/2 inch of tube. If I'd have had another 1/2 inch of tube, I could have made that. You know, originally I was going to put like a cross piece on here. Make that like a T, and then just fasten the end of that. We should have done that. Anyway, there it is. So, let me get the old TIG switched on. We'll get this one fastened up as best we can, and then I'll do the other side, but I won't inflict the other side on you. What time is it? It's 20 past 11. God, I've been out here 2 hours. So I'll get that one done, and then I think I've got enough tube to do another one of these. I was hoping to have enough tube left to do that cross piece as well, but I think I'll have to order some more. Alright, let me get this tigged. Right, I got the second one on. Went much quicker because I had a better idea what I was doing. So now we can look at the footrests. Now, as you know, we're going to mount the footrests on this 1/2 inch 4140 stud. So now we've got it running through the engine cases, through the tube, so it's good and solidly mounted, and being the 1/2 inch good steel, it certainly won't bend easily. So the footrests are going to go on there like that, which is going to put them about nicely where I want them. That's where I can use that, otherwise we would have had to mount them somewhere else. But because of the way these slant slightly and they're folding ones, is that the right one? Hang on, should it be? No, it can't be that one, can it? Nope. Has to be that one. Yeah, okay. So that goes on like that. Now I've looked at a couple of pictures, and including the XS650 that you know who I've forgotten, used to race, and the footrest seems to be about just where the gear change lever is. Is that it, or is that it? That's it. And also looking on the other side, that keeps us clear of the kickstart, which is about here. So we're going to put it there. So as I say, it's a nice strong mounting, but what we've got to do is stop it doing that. That's why I did these square blocks. What we're going to do is we're going to have that on there, and this is going to have a piece on this side which will go onto that so that it can't turn. But first of all, we need to know how far out it's going to be, so we're going to have to put this cover on. You'll notice again, same as the other side. For some, I have no idea. These people who think the way a thing looks is more important than the way it works. So this goes on there, so I've got to cut a little bit off here to fit it in. There's where the clutch cable goes in, so I don't want to weaken that, so I'm going to mark it up just to go up here, and then I'll go and cut it off. So let me do that. Now there's the footrest bolt. Oh, sorry about that. There's the footrest bolted on. There's a little spacer in to get us clear here. So as I say, it's about where I've noticed it to be on most of the YamBSAki, and it's about where the B51 would be also, because that would be more or less level. We're slightly further back, but not enough. But of course the thing is, although that, as I say, although that's nice and solid like that, it'll just swivel. So we need to stop it from swiveling, and that's what this flat piece here is for. What we're going to do is actually we're going to make two of these, and these will be welded to the footrest like that, and there'll be another one at the bottom. So when you take the nut off, this whole thing will come off, and it'll be like a piece like that that will go onto there. So it'll be welded all the way up here, all around there, and round the back of here, top and bottom. So then that won't be able to move at all. So let me go and cut this. I might make this in two pieces, because getting that to bend over like that, I'm going to use some 1/8 inch 4130 plate, so it's nice and strong. I might not be able to get that bend in it like that, so I might cut that out as a little triangle and then weld that in. We shall see. Alright, I've done the first part. It's on and there. See, the idea is that goes on there like that. It's tightened up. And then that can't go anywhere, particularly when we have the piece on the bottom. Gonna have to think of something clever for the gear lever, but I think everything's going to be alright. If need be, I can even make this slightly, but this is a nice mounting. That is going to be good and strong. It's not going to swivel, it's not going to bend. That's going to be splendid. Alright, I've run out of time, so that's all we're going to be able to get to show you this week. As I say, at the end of this video, i.e. as soon as I stop talking, there's a bit of video from the bike show I was at. It's not brilliant. Have a look at it, watch it or not, I don't know, but whatever you do, enjoy yourselves. I don't know how well you'll hear me on this walk around, but there's our stand, and there we have a couple of bikes. So let me walk around and I'll show you a bit more. Yeah, you've seen this bike before. That's the S7 I restored. By the way, in the background when you see airplanes and things, this is the Glen Curtis Museum where the bike show is. Ariel. Maybe I should put this on autofocus, hold on a second, but you're going to get the whirring. There we go, there's another nice one. That was sold as the Hornet here, it's $250, so basically it's like Crusader. We've got a couple of BSAs coming up. So there's boats, there's airplanes. Glenn Curtis was the pioneer in airplanes. Never mind the Wright brothers. There's a clapped out old Victor. Nice Norton. Do you know, I never liked these things. I think it's a really ugly bike, but there you go. Victor Special. That Matisse, a friend of mine, rode that at my trial. It's still got the scrambles gear in. It's fun to watch. This is another, belongs to another friend of mine. He's ridden that at my trial. Is this autofocus working alright? It's not making any noises. Oh! I just got distracted by someone. I'm bumping into a lot of people I know. There's that horrible A65 engine. That looks like a C10. I'll show you a couple of Harleys because they're not real Harleys. They're more like motorbikes. Something unusual. I don't know anything about these. Speedway with an original Whitworth with JAP engine.
Once they're cleaned up.
And a more modern Jawa, although not very modern. And a Jawa with a 500 Honda engine in. And on this side, very nice Indian. Alright, we'll try again. This is Sunday morning before the crowd, so how about that for a cub? That belongs to a friend, Jerry Young, who was national champion one year. He's been riding and modifying the same bike since he first bought it. And here's another one of mine.
What's that? Hey, how you doing?
Oh, look. See, not only the bikes are beautiful.
Yeah. How you feeling this morning? Are you chipper?
Fine, yeah, absolutely.
I was impressed.
I've had my breakfast, I've had my sausage and eggs, and
most
Chris and I, who you saw doing the riding for us, we drank some single malt last night. So.
Yes, and a little wine as well.
And a little wine, yeah.
Well, my son works for this company.
What a nice tackle there. Osser MAR. These are from the collection. Some of you might have seen. I showed it a while ago. Another friend of mine who has a huge collection of Ossers and other stuff. There's another nice cub. I don't know that one at all. Usual bits and pieces. Ural sidecar outfit. Matchless with a Velo fishtail silencer. I'll have to have a look around here, see if there's anything worth getting. What else have we got? A couple of drag races. This show gets bigger every year.
I've done it too, and I know it. I've had people call me that.
There we go, AGS Scrambler. A couple of Greaves. Actually, a couple of 3 Greaves, or 4 even. I actually sat my test at home on a Royal Enfield Constellation with full airflow fairing and a Busma double adult sidecar. Okay, let's see what else we've got. A Verda, a nice Ducati. These yours?
MV, the Ducati, and then the BSA in the middle.
Oh. You like me, you like red.
I love red.
I love me too.
It's the perfect color.
Now, this one was put together by the chap that runs this. Talking to the camera here, alright. Snowmobile engine.
Sure is.
He was riding it yesterday, or Friday.
I heard it run, yeah.
Some of the Bentley type Honda twins. $3,600. What have we got here? Jawas and CZs, or CZs as they call them here. An old Zundat flat twin. This is the Japanese corner, obviously. I don't know why, but this autofocus isn't working. So I hope this is all turning out alright for everybody. Alright, and that I think is about it. So hope you enjoyed that little bit. Hope most of it's in focus when I look at it. we're now going to get back to our booth.